Hi, so in this video I want to continue on and add some more thoughts on the concept of eternal oblivion, and I've already talked about this concept in some previous videos, and I've said why this concept doesn't make sense to me. So I'll add some more thoughts to yeah, to this concept. And okay, so in this video I will get a bit more towards the towards some conjecture. Okay, so previously I've stayed a bit more, I don't know if entirely, but I have stayed a bit more, how do I say it? Um, I haven't deviated too much into, some more, you know, out there kind of thoughts, I guess. I don't know. I have stayed more, direct about this. So I might deviate. I don't know. I don't know actually if I would, but who knows. So, okay, to get to the video, okay. So I've already said that this concept requires some, in a way it requires an eternity to finish before something can start. Okay, first of all, okay, and there is the concept of nothingness. Okay, now with right now as you are watching this video, and all of your experiences, all of your memories, these are all something. Okay, at no point during this experience, this form of experience that you've had with that you are currently having and that you can access through your memories, at no point of this was there nothingness. Okay, now there could have been certain instances, certain durations where this consciousness, this conscious experience was at a very low um, in a very low state, like for example dreamless sleep, and for example yeah, that type of state where there isn't that much, you aren't that directly interacting with this, I don't know what to call it, with the world, I guess, with this world. Okay, not a very good word to use, but okay. um, so there hasn't really been a nothingness. Now, with the concept of nothingness, I think nothingness is the end of all possibilities. Once the state of nothingness is reached, from there is nowhere else to go. You cannot go from nothingness to something, because nothingness is kind of the end of everything. Okay, with nothingness there is no possibilities. You cannot go from nothingness to something. Okay, nothingness is nothingness. There is nothing beyond that. It is all permeating. Another thing that might be true, I don't know if it is, but if there is nothingness, I don't think anything could ever exist. If nothingness existed at any point, anywhere, in however small of a, to, for lack of a better word, a pocket. Because I feel if nothingness, even if there was the slightest amount of nothingness anywhere, it would instantly permeate everything else. It would instantly annihilate everything else, because nothingness would just capture anything that is something. It would annihilate everything else, and it would immediately permeate everything else and annihilate everything else, and everything would turn into nothingness. That's not what we're experiencing right now. That's not what you're experiencing while you're watching this video. You're not experiencing nothingness, you are experiencing something. In dreamless sleep, I would say that you are still experiencing something. You are experiencing dreamless sleep. In Okay, so with this concept of nothingness, by the way, just that word itself, it just, I feel it defeats itself, the word itself, because when you're saying nothingness, you're still talking about something. The word nothingness is something. The word nothingness is not nothingness. So again, that concept is self-defeating. Then with the concept of eternities, how would, if there is an eternal nothingness, if there's an eternal oblivion before your birth, that would never, you would never be able to acquire consciousness. Okay, So because it would keep going and you would not get any farther. You could go on for a million years in eternal oblivion, and you could go there as fast as you can imagine. This time could pass as fast as you can imagine, and you would be right at the same spot where you were before, because it's an eternity. You're not moving. So in that type of a state, no one would be able to acquire consciousness. Okay, so here's where I will get a little bit more into conjecture. Okay, now that I have kind of talked about some of these things, I think I've already talked about some of these things before. So in a way, you can imagine, and this is conjecture. Okay, so I'm just saying this is. Um, I think you could say that a million years ago you existed, and I existed. Right now we exist. We are in something, and I have no reason to think. And with all the things that I've talked about, the concept of nothingness seems kind of, I don't know, it doesn't seem that rational to me. That's the thing. That's when people talk about this concept of nothingness, they always claim to be rational, but they're not. And when you start to rationally try to, you know, work with this concept, they suddenly get very irrational. And then they walk away and then they claim to be rational again. That is very strange. That is the opposite of rational. Who knows? Maybe the most irrational person are the people that claim to be rational in a very, in a, in a very I am rational kind of way. So yeah, in a way, could you imagine that a million years ago you and I existed? We exist right now, and a million years from now you and I will still exist. Maybe not in this world or whatever this is, but we might continue to exist. I don't know. But I think when you truly began to grasp this, it changes so much about how you perceive yourself. And um, I don't know, you understand the transience of things. And in an affirming way, that's what I mean to say, not in a sense that you let go of things, but in a sense that in a way that you embrace things. That's how I mean this. Because if you were to go into nothingness, you would I think that would make people kind of let go of things, like in a way that what is the point if everything is just going to go into nothingness, and if there was nothingness before, then what's the point? But if you existed a million years ago, I'm just picking a number, okay? You can think of much greater mathematical concepts and numbers than just a million. It's just a figure of speech, I guess. So if you existed a million years ago, and if you will continue to exist a million years from now, maybe in a completely different form, maybe in a form that you comprehend a lot more than you comprehend in this life. Maybe in much greater concepts, there are greater experiences, there are greater qualia, there are greater how do you say it? There is more consciousness. Could you imagine it in that way? And so it, you could think of a transformation, right? After this life, there could be, imagine after this life, there could be some kind of transformation. There could be some kind of transcendence. There could be a greater consciousness. There, right now, we perceive the things that are around us. And I've kind of talked about this topic in a different video, but imagine perceiving greater realities. Imagine perceiving greater sights. You could be standing in a certain place and you can perceive all the things around you. Imagine perceiving the entire earth at once, all the places on earth, from all directions, towards all directions, all things, perceiving it all at once in a certain greater sense, not in a sense of perspective, but in a sense that you see all perspectives at once. Can you imagine that? So that would be a sort of exaltation of consciousness. Okay? Um, and, okay, what else was I going to say? Um, what else did I want to talk about? Okay, so all right. So I think to okay, let me think about what else. What are the things that I want to talk about here? Uh, because if I don't, I might have to make another video as I remember. But yeah, I think I still talked about plenty of themes and ideas that I had to talk about this. Like I said, there is some conjecture here. You can try to think about this in a rational way, not in a way that says that it's rational, but it's actually not, but in a way that is truly rational, in a way that is affirming, in a way that affirms our consciousness, our experiences, our memories, in a way that affirms um, intelligence, in a way that affirms beauty that exists in this world, in a way that um, can, okay, there might be, I don't know if there is or not, but I like to think that there is a supreme divine intelligence to connect to this and to think. Um, I don't know. This is, like I said, I am, this is, I'm just trying to think of interesting ways to think about this, okay? So, but uh, because that's what we sort of see. We see in this world, we see order, we see intelligence, we see beauty. So there is, you could think of it in this way, that there could be some kind of a greater intelligence that, I don't know, creates this, or lives through this in some sense, okay? Because to think of the concept of eternal oblivion and nothingness, in a way, to me, it feels like, it almost feels dogmatic. It almost feels like it is a denial. That's what it feels like to me. It is a denial of life. It feels like it is attempting to diminish life. It is attempting to diminish our experiences. It is attempting to diminish some of the divine experiences that we might feel. We might, like the experience of love. There is so much more than you can talk about in a way that the way you feel this. It attempts to diminish this all the way down to an extremely low form of materialism. This type of um, reductionist materialism, kind of, in a way that it just reduces everything down to materials. That's what, not a very good way of looking at things. That's what I think. But yeah, and in this dogmatic view of nothingness, in a way you could say that it still has some supreme authority, in a way that would be a type of finite time, right? If this lifetime is all that exists, that finite time, in a sense, becomes a supreme authority. Death becomes a supreme authority. Entropy that we experience in this world, that becomes a supreme authority. In a way, these things, kind of in an indirect sense, they become things that dictate your view of yourself, your view of others, your view of how you perceive this world. So I think it is important to kind of think of it in this way. Is there something that is becoming way too powerful in that way? Is finite time becoming way too powerful? Is entropy becoming way too powerful? Do you think of death as it becomes, in a sense, a supreme authority? Death, that's what it becomes. So you want to think of it in that way. And with um, I don't know, I think the concept of a continuation, a transcendence, and a continuation of consciousness, a continuation of ourselves after this life, I think it is a more affirming way of seeing yourself and seeing your own conscious experience. So yeah, I think that's some more of my thoughts on this. I don't know if I went a little uh, too much with this video. I don't know, but I think the previous videos that where I've talked about these things, they kind of stand on their own. So this would be an addition to all the things that I've talked about previously. So you can take them for what it is, or you could continue. You could choose to add this to that. Decide what appeals to you. Okay. So I just want to say this. You want to make up your own mind about this, okay? Because I think to get too attached in an irrational way, to get attached to any idea, which includes not accepting or not thinking that eternal oblivion is true, I think that would also be an irrational way to think about this. That is not to say you should never be certain of anything, but I'm just saying, make up your own mind, okay? And decide for yourself what appears rational to you, and what makes you the most affirming towards your life, towards others, towards beautiful, desirable, amazing things. Okay? So yeah, I think those are some of my more thoughts on this concept. Okay? I might talk more about this. Maybe I would, maybe I won't. Not sure. Um, as I get more thoughts on this, I may or may not talk about it. Okay. So yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. If yeah, any of your thoughts that might be about this concept, whether it's something that makes sense to you, whether it's something that doesn't make sense to you. And yeah, let me know what you think. So yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next videos. Okay, bye.